Most people are still using ChatGPT like a clever autocomplete. That was fine 2 years ago, but today it's a very different tool. It doesn't just think with you, it can actually do things. Navigate sites you point it to, run code on your data, connect to your email and calendar through approved connectors, and schedule recurring tasks that you define. In other words, if you run a small business and you're still treating ChatGPT like a novelty, you're leaving real, measurable time on the table. In this video, I'm going to give you a practical, no-nonsense map of what ChatGPT is genuinely good at now, where it's worth focusing your energy to save hours each week, and the handful of tempting requests that sound great but aren't worth your time, at least not yet. The use case matrix I mention is in the description if you want to go through it in more detail after watching. So let me set out the context here. I've grouped the work of a solo or small business into 8 simple areas: thinking and decision making, communication and content, admin and operations, sales and marketing, technical and build, legal, finance and risk, people and leadership, and personal life admin that always bleeds into work. For each of those areas, I look at how ready ChatGPT is today. If you only change one thing after this video, make it this: move all language-heavy, structured and repeatable work to ChatGPT first. Drafting, editing, rewriting, condensing, expanding, reframing for a specific audience, and turning raw notes into clean artifacts are its home turf now. Ask it to take your rough email and make it warmer and half the length without losing the key points. Ask it to take your messy process notes and turn them into a proper operating procedure with roles and checkpoints you can actually follow. Ask it to turn your call notes into decisions, owners and deadlines that you can paste straight into your task system. These aren't gimmicks. They're boring, repeatable wins that compound. Importantly, you can ask ChatGPT to consider risks as it does this, to look for what could go wrong. Risk, likelihood, impact, who's watching it. By doing this, it gives you risks that perhaps are not being identified or monitored. It pulls out the intangible and makes it tangible. In itself, this makes using ChatGPT for those tasks worthwhile. It's adding real value. And this is something the AI will do that a person wouldn't. The reason they work so well now is that you're not just getting a pretty paragraph. You can have the agent create the structured document, keep the voice consistent because your style guide sits in the project memory, and then schedule a monthly review task so it nudges you to keep that SOP up to date. This is the quiet revolution. Not flashy, but brutally effective. Content is the next obvious win. Scripts, outlines, show notes, newsletters, landing pages, product descriptions, and press releases are all faster and cleaner when you let ChatGPT work on it. Give it your angle and a few anchor points. Ask for a concise open, logical key points, and a close that actually moves people to act. Then iterate 2 or 3 times on voice. Make it more conversational, less corporate, more confident, fewer qualifiers. Keep the British tone, avoid Americanisms. If you've stored examples in the memory, the drafts come back sounding like you, not like a bland template. The agent can also turn those paragraphs into a tidy slide outline or an editable deck if you want it, which is perfect for webinars and client training. I'm not asking you to put your brand in the hands of a robot. I'm asking you to stop burning an hour on layout and scaffolding when the tool can give you a solid frame in 3 minutes and you simply polish the parts that need your judgment. Sales and marketing benefit in 2 ways. First, outbound. Prospecting emails, follow-ups, and objection handling drafts are dramatically faster when you let ChatGPT produce 3 or 4 variants you can choose from. Store a list of phrases that work for you and your audience in memory, and you'll see it use them instinctively. Second, analysis and planning. If you export basic analytics or CSV, the model can now run code against it and explain what changed in plain English. It's not Power BI, but it's brilliant at turning charts into a narrative you can actually use, and at proposing the next sensible test, not 27 random ideas. It can also refresh old posts for SEO with the current stats. If you enable browsing, it can pull in reputable linked references rather than guessing. The key is to keep your goals and your audience in the project so it anchors everything it suggests. Technical work is another place where the gap between toy and useful has closed. If you give ChatGPT a data set, even a messy one, it can now clean it, explain what it's doing step by step, and give you code you can rerun. If your spreadsheet makes your eyes cross, ask for the exact formula you need and a one-line explanation in normal English. Then ask it to propose 2 tests to make sure it behaves on edge cases. It will also sketch your automations before you build them. When a lead form is submitted, if the industry is construction, send a templated email, add a CRM task for Tuesday, and drop a line in the team channel. If any step fails, send me an email with the error. You still wire it up with Zapier or Power Automate, but you won't be staring at a blank canvas. And if you need small scripts, a quick parser, a tidy up utility, a Google Apps script to clean a sheet. This is where agents plus the built-in code tools are simply faster than trying to stitch together something yourself. You remain responsible for where the code runs and what it touches, but the scaffolding cost is gone. Legal, finance, and risk are areas where the model's reliability has improved meaningfully without crossing the line into let it run wild. Think of it as an exceptional paralegal and a patient analyst. If you feed it contracts, it will surface obligations and differences between versions clearly. If you give it a clause bank, it will assemble the right structure for a first draft NDA or statement of work in seconds. And it'll remember your preferred phrasing because your templates live in project memory. In finance, if you hand it your assumptions and last year's figures, it'll sketch out a plausible 3-statement model and then run quick what-if scenarios so you can see sensitivity before you open Excel. In all of these, your review is not optional because mistakes here cost money and reputation, but the amount of human time to get from 0 to something you can review has collapsed. People and leadership tasks are quieter but still valuable. Interview design, performance review phrasing, and cultural narrative drafts are miles faster when the model has your values and competency framework in memory. It'll suggest behavioural questions that map to outcomes rather than cliches. And it'll de-bias phrasing so you don't accidentally undercredit someone's impact. It won't mediate your difficult conversations and it won't read a room, but it will make you better prepared for both. Because agents can now act within the boundaries you set, clicking, filling, fetching, and because project memory keeps context contained, a lot of maybe roles have tipped into yes. Let me translate that into time. Editing and rewriting becomes a pass-through activity. You spend your time deciding, not drafting. SOPs and checklists become a rolling library you can keep current because agent can remind you, not a dusty document you dread looking at. Meeting notes and status updates become a reliable heartbeat you don't have to remember to generate. Outbound sales become a process of selection and small human tweaks, not agonizing over a blank page. And the early stages of analysis, what changed, what we might try next, happen at the speed of a prompt instead of a lost afternoon. None of that requires bravado. It just requires you to move the right classes of work into the tool and to keep the guardrails in place. Now, what about the things that sound appealing but aren't worth asking for right now? And I want to be precise here. I'm not going to tell you the obvious, like don't ask for clinical advice. I'm talking about the seductive, surely this is possible requests that quietly burn hours or introduce operational risk, especially when they span tools or require reliable automation. Here are the patterns to avoid for the moment if you value your time. First, fully autonomous outbound that touches customers without you seeing it. It's tempting to say, go find prospects, personalize emails based on their sites and send them from my account. Because on paper, the pieces exist. Browsing, connectors, drafting. In practice, the personalization quality varies. Minor hallucinations creep in and the deliverability and compliance risks are yours. The high leverage move is to have ChatGPT build targeted batches of drafts with clear personalization points pulled from your criteria, and you approve and queue them in your email tool. You keep speed, you keep judgment, and you avoid the "who sent this" moment. Agents will get closer to safe autonomy, but for now, keep a human in the loop. Second, multi-app do everything for me workflows without a proper automation layer. You've probably seen the dream when a lead fills a form, create a CRM record, enrich it, check inventory, generate a quote, send it, file the PDF to the right client folder, open a job ticket and post to Slack. Then if the invoice isn't paid in 7 days, chase it. An agent can propose this orchestration beautifully and even help you test parts of it. But making it reliable in production still belongs in Zapier or Power Automate, with real error handling, retries, audit trails and access controls. Use ChatGPT to design the flow, generate pseudo logic and write test cases, but then implement in your automation platform. Trying to run the whole chain through an agent browser session or ad hoc actions will waste time now and fail in the messiest place, live customer work. Third, anything that requires scraping behind logins or breaching terms of service. Yes, the agent can click and it will happily look at a page you're on, but industrializing scraping of gated sites is still a brittle whack-a-mole exercise with legal and ethical constraints too. Ask it to outline a compliant approach, point you to an official API and help you write selectors or requests properly. Don't ask it to run a shadow data pipeline through a web session. Your time is better spent getting legitimate access or buying a data product. Fourth, end-to-end bookkeeping or ledger updates. The model is excellent at explaining a chart of accounts, proposing categories for a batch of transactions you paste in, and drafting month-end checklists. Where it's not worth your time is trying to have it post entries directly or reconcile accounts unsupervised via connectors. The surface area for small silent errors is large. Use it for categorization suggestions and narrative explanations. Let your ledger tool and your accountant handle the commit. You still save time, but you don't create a hidden mess that costs you later. Fifth, production grade apps end to end. If you've got a spark of an internal tool in mind, ChatGPT will give you a scaffold code base and sane defaults faster than any junior developer ever could, and it will help you test pieces of it. But stitching that into a secure, maintainable, observable application still takes a proper development workflow. Let the model accelerate you to a working prototype. Don't pretend you've built a product. You'll waste time pretending it's done and then spend twice as long unpicking the shortcuts. The pattern across all of those is simple. If the work touches customers automatically, moves money, affects your brand in public, or needs to run with the same result every single time, keep ChatGPT in the role of designer, drafter, and analyst, not unsupervised operator. It's not a question of potential, it's a question of where the reliability and accountability need to live today. Meanwhile, the jobs that are already operator ready are the ones that free you the fastest. Drafting, editing, summarizing, structuring, planning rhythms, and turning your intent into concrete artifacts you can review in minutes. So let's have a quick word on how to set this up so the benefits compound. Create a project per big area, content, operations, go-to-market, so the memory stays clean. Drop your brand voice, example pieces you're proud of, and turns of phrase your audience love. Your standard email footers, your meeting templates, your product list, and your approval rules into that project. When you ask for work, you're not starting from zero. You're starting from your own playbook. Turn on the connectors you actually need. Email and calendar are the usual first two, and decide 1 or 2 recurring tasks you want the agent to schedule for you. The weekly status summary, the monthly policy review, the end of month content refresh pass. These are tiny moves that turn into hours over a quarter. If you want a quick way to begin the moment this video ends, do this. Pick one content task you repeat, say your weekly client update email. Ask ChatGPT to read your last 3 examples and extract the voice and structure. Tell it the audience, the one result you want this week, and any constraints. Have it draft 3 versions. Pick one, tweak 2 lines, send. Next, take one operational task you avoid, documenting a process you do every month. Brain dump the steps into ChatGPT and ask it to return a clean, numbered process with roles, pre-checks, and a short what could go wrong section at the end. Save it. Ask the agent to schedule a nudge to review that process in 1 month. And finally, take one sales task, your first touch outreach for a specific segment, and have the model produce a short sequence with variation on subject lines and openings using your voice profile with a clear rule for when you step in. Those 3 moves are the core of this whole approach, and they'll show you exactly why this year's ChatGPT is different. It thinks, it acts within your boundaries, and it remembers what matters where it belongs. To wrap up, the question I want you to keep in your head is not, can ChatGPT do this? The better question is this the kind of work where a thinking and doing assistant that remembers context will consistently save me time without creating a new risk? And if it's language heavy, structured, templated, or comparative, the answer is almost always yes. And the time savings are real right now. If it touches customers automatically, moves money, or needs to run flawlessly across multiple systems, the answer is use it to design, draft, and analyze, then build or prove it in the right place. And that simple split will keep you out of the weeds and firmly in the territory where you claw back hours every single week. The use case matrix I mentioned is linked in the description below. Now you know what you can reliably use AI for, but what should you focus on first? What is going to make the most difference to you and your business? What is the highest and quickest return on investment? Well, to find out, this next video is for you. Thanks for watching and enjoy the hours you're about to get back.